Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're killing.
Before we get all the way through October, I had to get you those fall thriller recommendations that I promised you. So today I'm going to show you 8 books that will give you that thrilling feeling for fall, especially for Halloween coming up at the end of the month. So get excited. We're going to start with, in my opinion, the best thriller author. You can't top him. It's Stephen King. So the obvious choice is It by Stephen King. If you haven't heard about It, then you're far removed from pop culture at the moment, because It is the new movie that just came out. Stephen King wrote the 1,300-page book that movie is based on, and the book is fantastic. It's really, really good. It does not feel like 1,300 pages. Probably will take you an entire month to read it, but that's okay because it's totally worth it. I highly recommend you check it out. It is about a group of kids who live in a town called Derry, Maine, where something bad is happening. Every 27 years, It shows up and starts kidnapping and killing children. It's pretty scary, but it's also built around the relationships of the children, so it's about the characters and not so much about like the terrifying stuff. So like if you're afraid of it being too scary, I encourage you to give it a shot, because it's not one of those books that relies completely on the thriller part. Like it's a complete story with really well-rounded characters that just happen to be struggling with something scary. So the next Stephen King I want to recommend to you is my personal favorite so far. I haven't read a ton of his books yet, so this might change in the future, but right now it's The Shining, and I absolutely love this copy. I found it thanks to, I can't remember whose photo I saw on Bookstagrammer, but I asked her where she got it, and she like gave me the link, which was amazing. So I'll try to find that original picture, and I'll link her account down below, because I'm so grateful that I found this pretty copy, because all the copies of The Shining are like ugly, and this one has a bee on the cover, which is cool. Anyways, this book is, I'm sure you've heard of the movie if you have not read the book. The book is so much better than the movie. Like, it's a completely, I could go on a whole rampage about the travesties that the movie did to the plot, just completely destroyed the integrity, but whatever. The book is so much better. I highly recommend you read the book. It's basically one big metaphor for alcoholism, which is really, really cool, and this book is just absolutely genius. I highly recommend it. These next 2 Stephen Kings I'm gonna run through quickly, because these are just 2 more that I've read that I think are really, really good. That's Misery and Cujo, both really great. Misery is about a writer who gets stranded on the side of a road during a snowstorm, and a woman rescues him, but she's not entirely sane, so she keeps him captive in her house. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. The second book is Cujo, and that is about a rabid dog. And that's really all you need to know, but they're both really, really good. I highly recommend you check those out as well. And the last Stephen King I want to recommend to you, I'm choosing because it's perfect for Halloween. It's not necessarily one of my favorite Stephen Kings. I actually just finished this one, and it disappointed me as a Stephen King book. But Stephen King is like so good that this is still a really good book. It's just not, it didn't hold up to his other books in my opinion, and that's Pet Sematary. This is about a cemetery near an ancient Indian burial ground where you bury things and they come back to life, basically. I heard a lot of people say that this is the scariest Stephen King book they'd ever read. I highly disagree. I was not scared at all until about the last 50 pages. The last 50 pages do get scary, but like it is perfect for Halloween, because it's that whole like, there's like a cat, and like it just, something about this like just specifically screams Halloween to me. So if you want a very specifically Halloween read, I would definitely pick this up. It is still good, even though it's not one of my favorite Stephen Kings. I lied, I'm showing you 9 books, not 8, but oh well. The next book I'm going to show you is not a Stephen King. This one is very much a psychological thriller, and that is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. This book is about a journalist who is following the death of the daughter of a film director who dies, and it's ruled a suicide, but he doesn't believe it's a suicide, so he begins to investigate, and things get freaky. This book is really confusing, but in a really scary way. It like messes with your head and like shifts realities, so you're like not quite sure what's real. I would say it's comparable to House of Leaves, if you've read that, but this is like more reader friendly. House of Leaves was just like so confusing that I was like, it like pushed me out of the reading experience. This one I think is less confusing and more just thrilling. So if you want like a more psychological thriller, I would definitely pick up this one. Next is one of my favorite thrillers. It's Bird Box by Josh Malerman. And Bird Box is about a world in which there's something outside, and if you see it, you die. And that's basically the premise. And there's this mother and her two twin children. I think they're twins who are like 4 or 5 years old. The twins have never seen outside because every time they go outside they cover their eyes, and it's so frightening because the book is from their perspective, so you have no idea what's out there. You just know that there's something there and you can't see it, and like sometimes they hear something but they can't open their eyes or they'll die. And it's so like, it's just super intense. And basically the plot is that early on in the story, the mother decides that they have to try to find someplace better. They need to leave where they are now and try to find other human beings, basically. So the mother is taking her 2 toddlers down the river in a canoe blindfolded. And that's the premise, and it's so good. I highly recommend this. A great thriller. Definitely a psychological thriller, but not nearly as dense as Night Film over here, so I highly recommend you check this out. It's pretty short. It's like 200 something pages. It's not a commitment. I believe when I read it in a single day because I was just like really invested. Highly recommend. The next thriller that I have to recommend for you is of course another favorite, and that is The Girls by Emma Cline. And this is actually like an all year round kind of thriller. There's something summery about this, but it is a thriller, so I do recommend it for fall. This is basically a retelling of the Manson family or the Manson cult, and it's a very different kind of thriller because it's all from like this girl's perspective, and it's like mostly about the girls who like follow this, who get sucked into this like cult, and everything seems fine until it's like too late, basically. I really loved this. I gave it 5 stars when I read it, 5-star book. I finally found a copy at a thrift store, which I was very excited about. I love this cover. I like it better than the other cover, but this is like also, it takes place in the 70s. That like might be important to some people, so if you like the 70s, you'll probably like this as well. It's really good, and the first sentence just like hooked me in from the beginning. So to hook you in, I looked up because of the laughter and I kept looking because of the girls. You know you want to read it now. Go do it. And the last thriller I have to recommend to you is a really basic recommendation. It's Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. If you haven't read it yet, haven't had the plot ruined for you yet, then you should read it because it's definitely a great thriller. Like, it's just really good. I don't want to say too much about it because it's been a while since I read it, and I also don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'm sure you've heard about this book. It's super popular, and for good reason. And that's all I'm gonna say because I'm sure you've heard all of that before. I hope that one of these 9 books interests you and that you'll have the urge to pick one of them up and read them for Halloween. And if you do, please let me know what you think of them down in the comments. I would love to discuss them. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!